And there were sisters resentful of her. Be resentful of the system. Be resentful of the folks, primarily the white folks, who basically disenfranchised y'all all of these years before she came along.
Stephen A. Smith has once again weighed in, criticizing the baseless backlash aimed at Caitlin Clark. And believe me, his recent remarks have rocked the sports world. He spoke bluntly, calling out anyone who keeps targeting Clark simply because she's a white athlete excelling in a league of black women.
So we're talking about a predominantly black female league with the WNBA, but somehow Caitlin Clark is exercising some kind of white privilege within the league, even though she is in the minority. And I find this so interesting because Caitlin Clark has had a roller coaster of a ride within basketball, and she's really shown before the WNBA and through the WNBA as a player of merit and value that has nothing to do.
Stephen A. Smith didn't target Caitlin Clark personally. No way. His critique was aimed squarely at the system, the WNBA, and the culture around women's basketball, which he says has been stirring resentment in all the wrong directions. In his trademark style, Smith pointed out that some players were resentful of her. He argued, be angry at the system. Be frustrated with the people, mainly white individuals, who marginalized you for years, long before Clark ever showed up.
Who denied you the acclaim and the allure and the profits you richly deserved. But you don't take that out on Caitlin Clark. Not her. She's the one that assists you.
Can you believe it? Many people, especially her critics, are still upset with Caitlin just because of her skin color. I mean, how can anyone be so biased against someone who has consistently crushed every stereotype in her way? This heated debate flared up again after she was named Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year, a well-earned honor for a player who has elevated women's basketball to new heights.
My channel, we have gone over all of the stats, all of the numbers, all of the reasons why I think Caitlin Clark is already one of the greatest women's basketball players of all time, purely for the fact of what she has done on the court and also the kind of eyeballs that she has brought to a sport that really never had this kind of fame behind it, this kind of fandom behind it. She brought all of those.
But rather than bringing fans together in celebration, the announcement has sparked a storm of criticism. Why? Because Caitlin Clark succeeded while being white in a league historically led by black players. Somehow, her accomplishments have been turned into a racial flashpoint, even though Clark has gone out of her way to recognize her own privilege.
Caitlin Clark, all right? The Indiana Fever star was named Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year earlier this week, and she took time to acknowledge that race played a role in her success this year.
On top of that, she has even acknowledged the so-called white privilege in front of the socially conscious audience.
This year. Here's a passage from the article in Times Magazine. Quote, I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a...
And here's the kicker. What's truly unfair, she didn't have to say any of this. She owed no one an apology for her success, yet she chose to. She offered an olive branch, acknowledged the giants whose shoulders she stands on, and still, she's met with intense hostility. It's like she's trapped between a rock and a hard place, with the woke critics refusing to ease up no matter what she does.
And a lot of the things stemming from Caitlin Clark's Time Magazine interview, I could have never guessed that that interview would stir up so much controversy. The unfortunate part about all of this is that a lot of these people with these really strong and really dumb opinions unfortunately happen to work within the WNBA or be a part of the WNBA. And what they are doing is creating this, casting this negative light on pretty much the entire league.
That's right. A lot of her critics appear connected to the WNBA in some way, constantly throwing shade at Caitlin Clark. But Stephen A. Smith isn't standing for it, and honestly, neither should we. He exposed the hypocrisy with surgical precision. Why is Caitlin Clark, a player who has only lifted women's basketball to new heights, being dragged through the mud? She isn't the problem. The system is, it failed to properly reward and elevate black women for decades. As Stephen A. Smith put it, be resentful of the system.
You see why I had no problem with her being Times Athlete of the Year? You see why I said that she should have been on Team USA? You see why I had to go off on the likes of Sheryl Swoopes and others who were clearly distant and dismissive of her?
Stephen A. Smith isn't holding anything back. He's making it clear to Clark's doubters that he has backed her all along, whether it was over the Olympic team snub or the Sheryl Swoopes controversy. He believed in Caitlin Clark when the critics were tearing her down, and she has validated his faith at every turn.
There was resentment towards her, and here's why I said it was stupid. Because when she came into the WNBA, for 22 plus years, they had been flying commercial. They were begging for chartered flights. She arrives there, and 2 weeks later, they got chartered flights. She automatically and instantaneously improved the conditions. Attendance is still lagging. WNBA is still losing money compared to what you would hope it would earn, but clearly things are on an upward trending trajectory. It's improving, and she has everything to do with it.
Exactly. Caitlin Clark's rise has only boosted the league, both financially and in popularity. Her presence has coincided with chartered flights and rising TV ratings for the WNBA, yet she continues to face constant attacks. Let's be clear, Caitlin Clark didn't create this imbalance. She didn't shape the narratives or control the media machinery that elevates her stardom. That responsibility lies with the WNBA and its long-standing flawed marketing strategies. For decades, the league failed to properly spotlight its black stars. And now that they've tapped into Clark's undeniable appeal, suddenly it's her fault.
In fact, if we're looking at Caitlin Clark and some of her most famous, or shall we call it infamous, moments with other players and fights and battles, it seems like a lot of the pushback that she's received, a lot of the controversy that she finds herself in, has to do with other players on the team having a problem with her being white and her having that merit and value that she is now bringing to the Indiana Fever.
For years, women's basketball players, especially black athletes, fought relentlessly for recognition, fair pay, and proper accolades. They built the foundation for the success Caitlin Clark now enjoys. That's not Clark's fault. It's the fault of a system that only decided to act after decades of neglect. And let's not forget, Caitlin isn't just sitting on her privilege. She's actively pushing for the recognition and elevation of her black peers. Yet, instead of being praised for her allyship, she's being criticized. Honestly, the logic just doesn't add up.
Attendance for Indiana Fever games? Are you kidding me? WNBA draft, games on ABC, ESPN, television ratings. She's directly responsible. And people were resenting her for it, like she was the cause of the problems that they had for the lack of recognition. No, she just happened to be born white. That's it. Caitlin Clark hasn't spoken against anybody. She hasn't assisted in denying anybody else the privileges they deserve. If anything, she's tried to provide assistance.
Let's rewind. Stars like Lisa Leslie, Sheryl Swoopes, and Tina Thompson dominated the game, yet flashy commercials, sold-out arenas, and viral moments were rare. The system failed them. Now, with Caitlin Clark shining, she's unfairly blamed for decades of systemic neglect. She earned her success through hard work, uplifts her peers, and handles criticism with grace. True leadership the WNBA needs. The real problem isn't her. It's the broken system. Focus on the game, support each other, and let the haters talk. Caitlin Clark proves it's lonely at the top.